So we are live again. So now we're gonna have to wait 15 minutes for Andrew. So it says we are live now again.
The
So
question is it actually doing anything?
it's doing something. Um, yes, it's doing something. Yeah, it says it's live. So we have that going for us. Now we're just waiting on Andrew. Check, check, check. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you guys both weren't moving. I was like, oh crap.
No, I was. Shaller's been texting me. He says he needs to get into Telegram or some shit. He feels so lost right now.
Tell him to join. Tell him to join the new chat. And yeah, we need to add him to the chat.
Hey, it didn't take 15 minutes. Yay!
Woohoo!
Hooray! I changed it up.
I see that.
I figured in the spirit of things of
Yeah,
what's just occurred.
I went with this one tonight.
All right. In spirit, I have to change my patch real quick. Oh.
This
really
is the way
want
we
one of
stir the
those-
pot, stir the pot, stir the pot.
I really want a patch that like looks like the not these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, but says FBI instead.
Yes.
And
Dave could probably hook you up on that one.
We need.
I think that would be a cool.
I have an idea. I'll have to make a meme afterwards. Gadsden, but with a podcast mic.
Nice.
Come or not Gadsden, Gonzalez. Come and take it. There we go.
That one would be cool.
So, let's see. What do you got there? What is that? Ooh, Gonzalez. There you go. Blah 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 blah.
Was given to me today at Cranfest by a guy because he saw my T-shirt. Went, here, you need one of these.
There you go.
Fucking nice. I love free shit. It's my favorite price.
Right?
Which is your least favorite, paying for shit or getting recognized in public?
I don't. That dude. That was weird. All right. That was freaking weird. And not to say that I'm not a fan, of viewers / listeners saying hey in public, letting me know that they do actually watch us and stuff. But it was really strange to have a guy point at me in the grocery store and be like, hey, you're that guy from that show. And I'm like, if it was a true crime show, as I said to the interviewer, the police can't prove anything.
Andrew, did you see Shaller's comment there? The design that you want?
Oh,
His wife can make the shirt.
It's just these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. We just change FDA to FBI. Or this product's not evaluated by the FBI. That'll be a good one.
Oh, okay. So picking up where we left off.
Yeah,
Does anybody remember where we left off?
Yeah, it froze, I believe, right at,
halfway to fucking Psycho Land.
yeah.
Oh.
I believe it froze as we were talking about the signing away your gun rights.
Okay, let's
That high-pitched whine is back outside the garage. I don't know.
Dude, there has been a drone flying around my house like the past 2-3 weeks, and I can't see it. I keep looking for it, but I can't spot it.
I was watching the Stanford-Washington game last night, and in the fourth quarter, with about 4.5 minutes left, they had to stop play because someone was flying an RC drone over the field, like right before a punt. it was low enough that it was like they were worried that the punt was going to hit it. No, they had
That
to
would
stop.
have been epic.
They had to stop playing. Like
beautiful.
they had to stop playing. Like the referee was talking to one of the cops on the sideline, and they were pointing at it and everything like that. And like it took like a good 5 or 6 minutes for the drone to disappear. to take off. But
If you are flying that drone and you look through that camera and you see a pair of cops pointing at it and everyone's standing around, you would think you go, oh, they
shit.
stopped because I'm flying too low over the field. I should probably leave. And you bring the drone back. Like, you are an idiot if you're like, I don't know why the plane stopped. It's you, moron.
No, he realized that he was the reason play was stopped.
it's like
He just didn't care.
we have a problem because we have a big problem here with wildfires, and there will be people that will fly their drones over wildfires over for the footage.
That sounds like a
but
really bad idea.
The helicopters and planes won't drop retardant with the drones in the area because they don't want to hit them, get sucked into the propeller or nothing.
Morons.
Thanks, guys.
Morons.
So let's just restart the article. It's FBI secretly pressured Americans to waive their gun rights. The forms were presented to the FBI by people at their homes and other undisclosed locations, according to Bureau documents unearthed through the Freedom of Information Act by firearms group Gun Owners of America and shared with the DCNF, that is the Daily Caller News Foundation. At least 15 people between 2016 and 2019 signed the secret forms, which asked signatories to declare themselves as either a, quote, danger to themselves or others, or lacking, quote, mental capacity adequately to contract or manage their lives.
And again,
back to what Andrew said in the first place.
If you lack the mental capacity to sign a contract on your own behalf, that includes this one. It's a catch-22. Either you're lying, or you are
lying on a federal document.
Either you're competent enough to sign this legal binding contract, or you're not competent enough to handle a firearm.
They're mutually exclusive. You cannot have it both ways.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Robert Olson, GOA's outside counsel specialized in firearm law, says, quote, we're into a pre-crime minority report type of world where the FBI believes it can take away constitutional rights away from anyone it thinks possibly might pose a threat in the future.
Hey, dude.
Which certainly is not something you expect in the United States.
That is absolutely what I expect in the United fucking States.
Like I said, dude, first time?
It is entirely something I expect in the United States. Have you not noticed?
Yeah, the form specifies that signatories will be permanently registered with the FBI's NICS when the form states would legally bar signatories from being able to, quote, purchase, to possess, or to use any firearm. It is unclear what exact criteria the FBI used to identify signatories, but some forms include bureau notes detailing ongoing investigations. Many signatories allegedly made violent threats in online chat rooms, in person, or on social media platforms.
First of all, if you are dumb enough to sign that,
you're literally on a podcast where we have to do the Brandenburg v. Ohio,
right?
For every episode,
right? But if you are dumb enough to sign that form,
yes,
you might actually be too stupid to be trusted with a firearm. In which case, okay, fine.
Yes,
but this is, understand the reason they send forms. They have to send a form like that is they know that they would never be able to actually use any of the evidence that's generating this letter to you in a court of law, which means they could never prove in a court of law any of this. So you are just handing them a W because you're an idiot.
Yes, the signed forms obtained show that the FBI agents in Massachusetts, Michigan, and Maine presented them to Americans whose names were redacted by the Bureau. While the existence of the FBI form itself was first revealed in 2019 by the firearms blog AmmoLand, the outlet did not provide evidence of it being used at the time. GOA obtained the signed forms as part of a lawsuit initiated in January 2020 against the Bureau to compel disclosure of records related to the forms. A spokesman for the FBI said that the form was, quote, discontinued in December 2019, but they did not say why that decision was made.
I don't believe for one fucking second that the forum has been discontinued.
Yeah, I would say probably because they're lying sacks of shit,
why? Yeah.
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 and they're still using
And even
it.
if it was, the reason why it was discontinued is because they knew they were about to get sued off their asses.
Or it was discontinued because they just updated the form.
Yes.
Right.
In order to get
They
the
have a
signatures,
superseded form.
FBI agents in some cases interviewed people at their homes and elsewhere. While signing the form is supposed to be done voluntarily, lawyers say that there's a sense of undue pressure when Americans have to deal directly with the FBI.
Oh,
Especially
some
a person who lacks the mental capacity, or to possess a firearm, who also lacks the mental capacity to
sign a legally
sign
binding
the
contract.
form. Yeah,
that same person will be extremely intimidated by the FBI.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, which means that they're what a shock, preying on the most vulnerable elements of society. Who ever would have guessed that the FBI would prey on vulnerable members of society? Chris, that's you.
I think that's
There we go.
Yeah, my daughter called.
that was bad.
Yeah, that was unpleasant.
That wasn't Mark bad, but that was bad.
Rip headphone users.
Made my eyes water just a little bit. I thought my computer.
You were just
You know
talking
what?
about a high-pitched buzzing, so we were like, "You about to die?"
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but no, in this case, it was just my daughter.
Shells.
Challer, the wife, is behind the backdrop.
In 2017, there was one case in which the FBI, quote, was advised of a Facebook conversation where a man allegedly, quote, threatened to shoot up a church, according to Bureau notes. The man denied making the threats in an interview at his home, telling the FBI, quote, he did not want to kill anyone and has, quote, never possessed a firearm and has no desire to possess a firearm, the notes show. Nevertheless, the man later filled out the form waiving his gun rights.
So if he ever changes his mind,
yes. In 2018, agents in Maine interviewed a high school student who had, quote, decided to look at online advice for hacking on a school-assigned laptop. Agents tried to access the student's Facebook, but were, quote, unable to do so, according to the notes. However, the high school student eventually agreed to sign the self-submission form.
Wait, was this high school student over 18? Because if they weren't over 18, that they can't legally be bound to anything because they're fucking minor.
Yes.
Well,
Another case involved a Massachusetts man who was arrested for vandalism in 2017 after he broke several apartment windows and allegedly told the police, quote, I'm going to kill all you white cops, according to the FBI notes. 3 months later, he was interviewed at a redacted location by the FBI and was transported to a hospital after he, quote, became agitated, became sweating profusely, and complained of muscle pains. Once at the hospital, the man signed the self-submission form in the presence of a doctor and an FBI agent, according to the notes.
So he clearly was having like a serious mental breakdown.
Yes.
And they decided to manipulate him while he was in the midst of a mental breakdown.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's I don't believe that it would happen that way because like we love the FBI and there's no way that the FBI would do that.
No, most honorable agency, comrade.
Oh yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I mean, the USA Today just fact checked that there's no possible way that WTC 7 went down from a controlled demolition.
That's true. USA Today has confirmed that rumor is completely a lie, and that World Trade Center 7 collapsed due to the fire.
Stop the memes, boys. Stop the memes.
From nothing.
They got us. They
fact checked it, boys. Quit making.
They should have, after USA Today did
news.
that, they should have had a press conference where they went in front of everybody and went, ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
Yeah, that's what they need to. They need to fact check the Las Vegas shooting, right? Because we all know there's so much misinformation about that one.
Yeah. It's clearly completely reasonable that a single man brought several thousand pounds worth of ordnance up to a Las Vegas hotel room single-handedly without anyone noticing, built a shooting platform in the hotel room without
removed
anyone
a 400
noticing.
pound window.
It removed a 400-pound industrially sealed in window without anyone noticing.
Yes.
And then opened fire for actually no discernible reason whatsoever. That's
continuous rhythmic fire that was from bump stocks.
Yeah, without picking up any other weapon that was supposedly there.
And he only left behind like a single handful of brass as he did all this. That is a totally reasonable...
And no brass went out the window or anything
Where's
that.
the fact checkers?
Yeah. Completely reasonable story that no one should ever question.
Okay, all right. let's move on. I can't keep a straight face anymore. Ooh. Speaking of that, let's go to Jason's Sigurd article.
Oh no.
This is Gateway Pundit.
That buzzing is back in my ear, Jason.
Hold on.
I hear a whistle.
I'm trying to calm. I'm trying to compose myself. Hold on.
I just heard a whole bunch of really heavy car doors opening and closing outside my house.
You make that joke, but I seriously did just hear 2 car doors close outside my house.
I'm just going to leave one ear open to listen.
See, you guys thought I was crazy for just using the one-ear headset. I need to be able to be aware of my surroundings.
Less than a week before trial, FBI has admitted that they had informants within the Oath Keepers on January 6th.
What?
No.
I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked.
And remember now, remember, hold on. Remember who ran security for January 6th and where he came from previous to January 6th.
Yeah, the guy that he wasn't in Michigan, I think, and was involved in something there that you may have heard of immediately before moving.
There were more feds and informants in that group than there were non-feds and not informants within that group.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, fucking seeing Brandon complain about, like, dude, I spent 18 months getting called a white supremacist and a terrorist and everything else by the media, and then I obviously won and proved that none of us, had anything to do with that shit, that it was all the feds. But I still can't get a job because they spent so long besmirching my name and I don't have any legal recourse whatsoever.
Yep. Next week, the United States government is holding the trials of several Oath Keeper members who attended the protest in Washington, D.C. on January 5th and January 6th. The DOJ is hoping to convince a jury that the Oath Keepers were planning an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Oath Keepers members were working security that day at the Ellipse, where President Donald Trump spoke to millions of supporters. Several Oath Keepers then walked to the U.S. Capitol, where at least 2 more protests were planned. Stewart Rhodes, there's a whole thing. So we can do a whole episode on Stewart Rhodes and his connection to the federal government. The Oath Keepers founder and president told all the members to leave their firearms in the hotel rooms outside the city. A handful of Oath Keepers members entered the U.S. Capitol that day, where they stood around, picked up trash, spoke with police, and left when they were told to. Next week,
such horrible insurrectionists leaving when they're told.
Yes,
and staying inside the ropes.
On Thursday, U.S. government sent a letter to attorneys of 9 Oath Keepers members. The government also notified the attorneys that they are issuing a protective order for the operatives that ran inside the organization on January 6th.
Oh, look at, and so now they're going to protect them.
The feds sandbagged the defense for nearly 2 years, then sprang the existence of confidential human sources literally at the 11th hour.
That's
Thursday
how they
evening,
normally
sources
operate.
notified the Gateway pundit that the government admitted to defense attorneys that there were government operatives inside the Oath Keepers organization. The government seeks to prevent the defense attorneys from asking about any other investigations or operations confidential human resources have been involved in. The government is also seeking to keep the identity of these confidential human resources private from the American public.
Of course,
I
because
wonder if
if
this
it
would have
comes out,
anything to do with that guy, the older guy that was standing there going, "We need to go, we need to go." I wonder if he had anything to do with that.
Yeah.
I was going
And
to
now
say
nobody
the
can
reason.
find him.
Hashtag
Yeah,
Ray-ups.
The reason that they don't want anyone to know who they are is because they are the ones who instigated everything. They are the ones behind the whole thing. And if the American public learns that all of these people that were shown on film keep going, encouraging everybody to go, were in fact nothing but feds, at that point, that's new evidence, which then allows defendants to demand retrials in light of entrapment because they're agents provocateur.
That is a segue that just gave me goosebumps. I just want to put that out there. Such as the FBI whistleblower who has come forth lately. Have you guys read about him at all?
Yep.
Counterterrorism cases against alleged right-wing extremists are mostly entrapment, according to the
What?
FBI whistleblower.
No.
Pokemon Pikachu meme.
Pikachu shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
The FBI's counterterrorism investigation targeting suspected white supremacists and right-wing extremists are mostly entrapment operations. That's according to a former agent. Why is he a former agent? We'll get to that in a second. Involved in these cases, told the Washington Times. The startling accusations came from Kyle Serafin, an FBI agent for 6 years who was recently suspended by the Bureau. He worked in multiple field offices in the counterterrorism division and conducted investigations of suspected domestic extremism and white supremacist plots over the past few years. Quote, my team was deployed 20 to 25 different high-profile national terrorism organization or terrorism investigations between 2018 and 2021. And what I saw as the most obvious statement is that there are three things about the counterterrorism investigations. Number one, the demand for white supremacy vastly outstrips the supply of white supremacy. Number two, the FBI's playbook when it comes to counterterrorism investigations is always and unequivocally moral equivalent to entrapment, even if there's a legal definition that allows them to skirt that.
Yep.
Number three, the top threat for the Albuquerque Field Office, AOR, which that's the area of reconnaissance, covers the entire state of New Mexico, is violence at abortion clinics. Again, total white supremacy.
It feels an awful lot like Operation Northwoods is alive and well.
And Operation PatCon never ended.
Yeah.
If you think that they scrapped those now publicly available plans to do all
it's like watching the Bourne movies where they're like, we want to scrap this plan, but here's a different one that does the same thing.
Yes.
Yep.
Quote, there is no requirement for an allegation of a crime to happen for someone to open a national security investigation. None. That doesn't have to be an underlying crime at all, it's according to Mr. Fairbairn. Quote, to open up a case, for example, on a parent at a school board meeting, if we allege that there are enough connected pieces, it's like, okay, this person owns guns. Mr. Fairbairn said accusations, entrapment, the FBI said Mr. Serafin's accusations of entrapment were baseless. Quote, this comment is inaccurate and represents a clear misunderstanding of the policy and practice in FBI investigations.
That's because the policy and everything related to FBI investigations is fucking entrapment.
Yeah.
Mr. Serafin said he was suspended and placed on administrative leave at the FBI after run-ins with his supervisors that began with his refusal to get the COVID-19 vaccination. The FBI did not mention Mr. Serafin's vaccination status in a letter informing him of his suspension, but cited his, quote, personal conduct and allegations that raised, quote, sufficient concern about your judgment, trustworthiness, and reliability to safeguard classified and sensitive information.
So
basically,
because
he was
didn't,
probably also raising concerns about the entrapment. They were like, we need to get rid of this fucker. He's not a
Mhm.
team player. And not being a not team player in the FBI means that you're not willing, in all law enforcement, means that you are not willing to lie and cheat and steal and murder with impunity. You are not willing to let everyone else get away with doing it. And that makes you not a team player, and they will do what they can to end your career.
Yes. Additionally,
if not your life.
FBI hero paying the price for exposing unjust persecution of conservative Americans.
Oh gosh, what? They were targeting people who were, you mean like that whole thing that the IRS was shown to be doing that we were all conspiracy theorists for saying was going on, that the IRS was intentionally targeting enemies of the state, as it were, and that
Operation PatCon.
yeah, and like
That's Operation Patriot Conspiracy. Look it up. You will find almost nothing.
oh yeah.
You'll find almost nothing.
You know what's funny is that we keep running out of conspiracy theories because they turn into just conspiracies. Like I need new
Well,
ones
you gotta remember,
because they're all coming. They're all getting
the term
proven, so.
conspiracy theory was a derogatory title that was created as an effort to dehumanize people.
Mhm.
Right?
Was it created by the FBI or was it the NSA? I can't remember which one.
I didn't CIA.
Or CIA.
But it was
Yeah.
it was used like it was used at the time when things like racist, sexist, transphobic, bigot are used now, right? Liberal, conservative cuck, right? White nationalist, right? All these things are like they're titles. They're titles that are given out as a means of dehumanizing the person you're talking to. And once you dehumanize a person, then what happens to them through whatever actions or through actions of authority, it doesn't affect you because you don't see them as a person anymore.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like what we are seeing though too. Like remember during COVID and stuff where like people were complaining on Twitter, you guys need to stop with actually doing all these things that my conspiracy theorist friends keep saying is going on. You're enabling them. I'm sorry. I think what you meant to say is, holy shit, my conspiracy theorist friend is completely right, and I should probably start listening to him.
Yeah, and we were completely justified. We were completely justified. The CDC has come out and said, yeah, we were wrong. Like not only has the CDC come out and said that they were wrong, but there is a report out. There was a study out that came out about a month ago, and there's been very little coverage of it, but you can read the information that 5 to 11-year-olds that got a certain jab actually became more susceptible.
Yes, they ended up with a negative response.
They ended up with a negative immunity, so they became more susceptible to the coof than before they got the shot. Yep. But I'm the crazy one.
Well, and not only that, but it wasn't that long ago that the NIH added one of the so-called experimental treatments to their approved list of treatments on their website.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's that ad that keeps playing during football games for that one COVID like pill that says, well, some people will get it and some people will get it badly, and the people who get it badly may have all these comorbidities that are like being overweight, smoking, having pre-existing conditions, like
almost like we all said, 2.5 fucking years ago.
Yeah, you mean the stuff that we all got kicked off of social media for bringing up 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, the new one says if you take this pill or get the shot within 5 days of symptoms, right, it'll lessen your symptoms. 5 days in, you already have immunities built up.
Yeah, you're already on the rebound at that point.
Yeah, 5 days in, your immune system is already kicking its ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a total. Yeah, Lindsay noticed that when the first Packer game, because that was on, that commercial came on during the first Packer game, and she's like, 5 days in, you're already getting over it.
The first Packers game, that's the one they lost, right?
Yes. That was the worst part too. That was the the thing is that when the Packers lost to the Vikings, like the worst part about that was Lindsay's a Vikings fan, so she's just sitting on the couch in that stupid purple jersey, smiling at me. She's not saying a word, just smiling satisfactorily.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but who was it that San Francisco lost to? Didn't they lose opening weekend too?
No, we're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Sure.
So, and I'm pretty sure they lost to another NFC North team.
Come on, you saw that field. There were concerts on that field.
I see. Now the excuses come out.
Hold on. There were concerts on that field for 3 nights in a row before the game, and it retained. They were literally playing on Lake Michigan.
Oh, that ain't even close to Lake Michigan. That ain't flooding.
Hell no.
You haven't seen flooding.
I live on the Sacramento and San Joaquin River. I have.
That was a little bit of standing water, is what that was. And if you can't play football outside,
the ball was floating on the field, bro.
Actually, there was a false start penalty called because the ball was floating in a ball. I remember that.
So, bombshell allegations by the FBI Special Agent Steve Friend containing a whistleblower complaint filed late Wednesday with the Department of Justice. Inspector General reveal a politicized Washington, D.C. FBI field office cooking the books to exaggerate the threat of domestic terrorism and using an overzealous January 6th investigation to harass conservative Americans and violate their constitutional rights. So this is a second whistleblower.
So,
right?
So what you're saying is Washington is, actively moving against the people?
Its political opponents.
That wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen with our FBI, bro. That would never happen.
Or our IRS or the DEA or any other.
That would never.
Are you insinuating that a government agency would actively interfere in the political process of
what? What is this, Iran?
I, for one, refuse to believe that in any way any government agency would ever interfere with.
But only in the West. Governments in the West are wholly and entirely trustworthy. Yeah. We would never see this in the West. Only in some place like the Middle East where you have absolute autocracy.
The Freedom Convoy were terrorists, bro.
Right?
They're absolute terror. All that honking.
The same thing with the farmers. The same thing with the farmers in the Netherlands. Same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Friend, 37, respected 12-year veteran of the FBI and a SWAT team member, suspended Monday, stripped of his gun and badge, and escorted out of the FBI field office in Daytona Beach, Florida, after complaining to his supervisors about the violations. He was declared absent without leave last month for refusing to participate in SWAT raids that he believed violated FBI policy and were a use of excessive force against January 6th subjects accused of misdemeanor offenses.
Which is how you can honestly say there are no good employed cops, because if you are a good cop and you are employed, you will swiftly become unemployed.
You have to make that comment right as Dave pops in the chat. I'm about to say, hey, Dave, we have episode 200 coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'd love to have you on for episode 200. Why don't you message me on Instagram? Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for leaving that in.
I just figured we should open up well, apparently.
Declared absent without leave.
That's what happens though, right? Like we see that again and again and again where cops, a cop tries to stop his coworker from choking somebody to death. Mm-hmm. He gets fired. We see cop goes, hey, there's gangs in this department. Like these cops are forming gangs and killing people.
Hashtag LA Sheriff's
He gets fired. Yeah,
we've seen cases where cops try to stop their partner doing assaulting other people, and then they get assaulted by the same cop.
That one female cop, the cop flipped around and started choking her.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. There's the
guarantee he went home and beat his wife on after that. Guarantee.
Yeah, probably. There's the and now we're seeing a couple of FBI agents who get fired because they're going, holy shit, the FBI is going after the political opponents of the current administration. They're going after people that are, this is wielding political violence against these people. And
you go to Gulag.
Why do we have Josh's now?
What the fuck?
Why do we have? What is going on?
I have no idea. My Chrome completely disappeared off the screen, and everything shut down. And then I logged back on. There was two.
We only have one Josh.
You know what was freakier though was the
As
fact
you pointed?
that the one pointed and the other one didn't move. Like that was scary.
That was trippy.
There was a moment.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit, Josh is a Fed.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out though that now we're seeing it in the FBI too. We're seeing two
Josh
FBI
and anti-Josh.
agents. Yeah.
Nigga, Josh.
One of them only has a pointy goatee and thin mustache. He's the evil Mirror Universe Josh. And
where's a red
pointy goatee and a Hitler stash.
Where's the red coat and the tri-corner hat the other way so the point's in front?
Yeah, but he has a German accent for no apparent reason.
79 Joshes on the podcast.
Yeah. I do not know what you're talking about.
It's only one.
Do not forget to eat the bugs.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, the FBI now is firing these guys that are whistleblowing on all of this stuff and them being wielded as, political enforcers on behalf of the regime. And this is what happens, right? You cannot be a career law enforcement officer and be a good person. That can't work, because the moment you show your coworkers that you are a good person at all, they will figure out a way to get rid of you.
Yeah, the homie
career.
Kevin Wood, Derica's husband, he had issue with this in his job in DC. He went from one department to another. The other department was his dream job, and it was filled with people that had completely opposite political agenda of his. And they went after him, right? They went after him, just criticizing him and just creating this really toxic work environment towards him, to the point where he had to transfer, he had to take a demotion and transfer out of there. And it's no different than they're doing the FBI. But what is the point in power? What is the point in having political power if you don't use it to punish the people that politically oppose you?
Yeah,
right.
That is the inevitable result of all government.
That's what we're looking at, right? That is becoming far more prevalent now than it has been in the past. I'm sure it has happened in the past, of course, but it's a lot more physically prominent now, and you can see it. But it's a little bit Machiavellian. When you really,
it's not the first time. We have well documented cases of stuff like this happening in the past. You've got the internment of the Japanese in the United States. That would be considered interring or taking it out on your political opponents to a point.
Well, you have the black sites in Chicago that the Chicago police were running, where they were especially targeting when people would file complaints against them. They were targeting those people and sending them to black sites.
Literal Guantanamo Bay style black sites.
Yes. Buildings that had no discernible markings on the outside, but they were holding facilities for people that spoke ill of the Chicago PD.
Yep. So, all right, let's get back to this. Blah, 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 blah. Where was I? Stephen Friend, 37, respected 12-year veteran, the FBI SWAT team member, suspended Monday, so this is a couple weeks ago, stripped of his gun and badge, escorted out of the FBI field office, Daytona Beach, after complaining to his supervisors about the violations. He was declared absent without leave last month for refusal to participate in SWAT raids that he believed violated FBI policy, and were a use of excessive force against January 6 subjects accused of misdemeanor offenses.
They went on an unscheduled tour. We need to kick in their door with a bunch of automatic weapons. Yeah, I'd say it's a little excessive.
This American hero, the father of 2 small children, has blown up his dream career because he could not live with his conscience if he decided to be a part of what he sees as an unjust persecution of conservative Americans. Quote, I have an oath to uphold the Constitution. He told his supervisors when he asserted his conscientious objection to joining an August 24th raid on a J6 subject in Jacksonville, Florida area. Quote, I have a moral obligation and want to be considered a conscientious objector.
Having an actually holding to your oath to the Constitution is a really solid way to get kicked out of a federal agency.
Friend who did not vote for Donald Trump said he told his immediate boss twice that he believed the raid and the investigative process leading up to it violated FBI policy and the subject's right under the 6th Amendment to a fair trial and the 8th Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment.
He forgot the 4th, illegal search and seizure, but
yes. This is where it gets juicy. In the whistleblower complaint to DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz, obtained by the Post, that's the New York Post, Friend lays out multiple violations of FBI policy involving the J6 investigations in which he was involved. He said he was removed from active investigations into a child sexual exploitation and human trafficking to work on J6 cases sent from D.C.
Gosh, what a surprise. I can't imagine why the FBI wouldn't want to look into child sex trafficking.
He told, quote, domestic terrorism was a higher priority than child pornography.
Because guess who the principal consumers of the child pornography and all of the child sex trafficking are? It's your bosses.
As a result, he believes his child exploitation investigations were harmed. He also reported his concerns about a politicized FBI to Republican members of Congress, among 20 whistleblowers from the Bureau who have come forward with similar complaints. So his among Friends allegations, there's a list of allegations. We'll go through them one at a time. The Washington, D.C. field office is, quote, manipulating FBI case management protocol and farming out J6 cases to field offices across the country to create the false impression that the right-wing domestic violence is a widespread national problem that goes far beyond the Black Swan event of January 6, 2021.
So essentially what they're doing is they're drumming it up to make it appear like it's a far larger problem than it ever was in the first fucking place.
The fact that he called it a Black Swan event is fucking great.
In quotes. Black Swan in quotes.
If you know what a Black Swan event actually is, that's glorious.
Yes.
Go ahead and Google that shit if you don't know what a Black Swan is.
I believe they are the highest. I don't know if they're the highest consumers, but I consider them the highest pimps selling it. Yes, I believe it was the NSA. It might be the FBI. The FBI took over a child porn site and ran it for like 4 days or something, and let like 40,000 images and videos go out in order to arrest like 6 people or something like that. And then some of those were dropped. Some of those arrests were actually dropped later, because
they were also feds.
No, because the federal government refused to show the computer program that they used to take over and track the people that were using the website. So, yes.
What a shock!
Yeah. Black Swan event, January 6, 2021. As a result, he was listed as lead agent in cases he had not investigated, in which his supervisor had not signed off in violation of FBI policy. FBI domestic terrorism cases were being opened on innocent American citizens who were nowhere near the Capitol on January 6, 2021, based on anonymous tips to an FBI hotline or from Facebook spying on their messages. These tips are turned into investigative tools called, quote, Guardians, after the FBI software that collects them.
Don't you love the euphemisms?
The
like
FBI
the Patriot Act.
The FBI has post facto designated a grassy area outside the Capitol as a restrictive zone, where it was not restricted on January 6, 2021, in order to in order to widen the net of prosecutions. So they post factoed a red zone around an area where there was no red zone. The FBI tends to prosecute everyone, even proliferarily associated with the J6. And another wave of J6 subjects are about to refer to the FBI's Daytona Beach resident agencies, quote, for investigation and arrest. The Jacksonville area was, quote, inundated with Guardian notifications, and FBI agents were dispatched to conduct surveillance and knock on people's doors, including people who had not been in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, or who had been to a Trump rally the day but did not go inside the Capitol.
You know, I wonder if this is how I ended up with a freaking SUV parked outside my house several times.
And part of the problem. Freen said he was punished after complaining to his bosses about being dragged into J6 investigations that were, quote, violating citizen Sixth Amendment rights due to the overzealous charging of the DOJ and biased jury pools in Washington, D.C.
Well, even at the time, like a lot of legal commentators, when all of that started, remember, pointed out, like, they're trying to make examples of them. This is really overblown, all things considered. I mean, even not conservative ones, like fairly left-leaning legal commentators were even pointing out, like, this seems kind of huge. Why would they be doing this? Well, we know the answer now is very clearly because after Biden's speech, because they are setting up anyone who doesn't agree with the current administration, anyone who doesn't sit very, very hard left is an enemy of the state. They are setting up a full-on fascist move. That is what they're doing.
Yes,
yeah. I can't wait.
But we're crazy for saying that the government's going to come after us. We're just nuts. That's clearly that's not going to happen.
We clearly don't need those AR-15s.
Yeah.
In a September 16th letter from the head of the FBI Human Resources, he was told he was losing his security clearance also because he, quote, espoused beliefs which demonstrate questionable judgment and demonstrated an unwillingness to comply with rules and regulations.
Because he
said, I think this violates rules and regulations.
Beliefs which demonstrate questionable judgment.
Espoused beliefs. So again, he's like, hey, I think that this is not okay. And they're like, oh, you're on their side then. Well, we're going to have to get rid of it.
Yes. Yep. You actually believe that there's a constitution that we're supposed to follow? No, get out.
Oh, yeah. And that's what's going on here. Like, this is deeply dystopian.
Yeah,
like,
hold on.
Deeply dystopian.
Give me 3 paragraphs. On October 19th, right? So this is like a month and change ago now. He first told his immediate boss, Supervisor Senior Resident Agent Greg Federico, that he believed, quote, it was inappropriate to use an FBI SWAT team to arrest a subject for misdemeanor offenses, and opined that the subject would likely face extended detainment and biased jury pools in Washington, D.C. Okay. Quote, I suggested alternatives such as the issuance of a court summons or utilizing surveillance groups to determine an optimal safe time for the local sheriff deputy to contact the subjects and advise them about the existence of an arrest warrant. Federico told him it would have been better to, quote, just call in sick rather than voice his objections and, quote, threatened reprisal indirectly by asking how long I saw myself continuing to work for the FBI. Yes. 4 days later, Freen was summoned to Jacksonville to meet the next level boss, Assistant Special Agent in charge, and Sean about his refusal to join the SWAT team. He told them about the concerns over irregular case handling the J6 matters that he believed were a violation of the legal rule known as the Brady that requires prosecutors to disclose evidence that would exonerate a defendant. They asked if he believed any J6 riders committed crimes, and he replied, quote, some of the people who entered the Capitol committed crimes, but others were innocent. I elaborated that I believe some innocent individuals have been unjustly prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced. His supervisors then asked friend of J6 rioters who, quote, killed police officers,
which literally never happened,
should be prosecuted even though no such thing happened. When Freeman pointed out that, quote, there were no police officers killed on January 6, 2021, his supervisors told him that he was, quote, being a bad teammate.
Told you. Did I not just say that it's, oh, you're not a team player? That is the euphemism they use every fucking time.
Both agents, quote, threatened reprisals again by warning that my refusal to go on the SWAT raid could amount to insubordination. References were made to my future career prospects with the FBI, end quote.
And here's the thing, is in the United States military, you are not only allowed, but expected to disobey illegal orders.
Yep.
Right? This is a thing that you were expected to do. In the Federal Bureau of Investigation, concern even against illegal orders
makes you a bad teammate.
Yep. And it's not just the FBI. We've talked about it before. It's the local cops. It's everybody. It's if you are in law enforcement and you don't just sit there and follow orders like a good little drone.
Yep.
They will find a way to get rid of you.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, they already found a way to not hire you.
With prejudice in a lot of ways, in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will figure out ways not only to not hire you, but they will figure out ways to destroy your ability to get employed anywhere else. Ways to make your life complete and total hell. They will destroy you for daring to question their authority.
Yes, Jack, starting to smell like extremism in here.
Yeah, hence the let's get radical.
Finn says his concerns are shared by a large number of rank-and-file FBI agents across the country who believe that they are being used as pawns to pursue the political agenda of the bosses of Washington, D.C.
Because they are.
These kinds of abuses of the law are a morale killer for field agents, he says. Many agents who joined the FBI in the wake of 9/11 are keeping their heads down because they are close to their 20-year retirement with full pensions. But he says they are equally disgusted at being forced to take part in politicalization of federal law enforcement. No, but this article goes on and on and on a little bit more, but it starts out about Donald Trump, and I don't want to get into that.
No.
So
fuck Trump too. He is also a piece of shit. It doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't matter. Left, right, anybody who has that much power is a piece of shit. Guaranteed, 100%. Yep. They're not interested in you. They're not interested in your freedoms. They're interested in their own power and perpetuating the cycle that gives them power. That's what it is. Plain and simple. Fuck them both. Both sides. Red, blue. I don't fucking care. They can all go to hell, and I would really love to see them sent there.
There's a lot of yellow that I agree with that statement too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a shit ton of yellow that pretends to be yellow. That is in fact not. What they are is they are blue as shit, or they are red as shit.
There was just something. I just saw something the other day where a lot, like most of the people that actually started or are currently widely known in the Libertarian Party started off as lefties that they had put over there as a way to siphon votes from.
There are a lot of that, and there's a lot of people that used to be in power in the libertarian movement that are left and joined the Democratic Party, local Democratic parties, and some other ones, and we don't have to get into that right now. But
and then there's Spike,
there's Spike Cohen, Josh Smith, Karen Ann Harlos. I don't know if you guys know who she is, pink hair lady.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
that woman is absolute fire. She's fantastic.
I got to know her halfway decently on Facebook before when I had a Facebook page, and then obviously I was not on Facebook for various reasons for 2 years.
Jack says, "What about the Hawaiian Print Party?" The redacted caucus of the Libertarian Party is still trying to push itself. Janie down there in Texas is still trying to get it moving, but that's not going to work out. There aren't enough extremists. in the Libertarian Party. Spike is American treasure. Absolutely. I think they should run Spike over Dave Smith.
Yeah, I agree.
Dave Smith has a cool name and he's funny and he makes people laugh, but he's not.
Dude, I want to see Spike on national television so bad.
Spike is calm and chill, and
Spike on a debate stage would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not because they're never going to let the LP get anywhere near the debate stage, especially if it's like a Spike, Dave Smith.
But just getting like national media,
like Gary Johnson, they would probably let him on there because he's just
well, even awful. Gary Johnson, they tried to they kept him off. They modified rules to get rid of him, and same thing with what's her face? They did that with her too, but.
That's all because the supposed nonpartisan Federal Election Commission that sets the rules for the debate stage. If anybody,
it's also a private organization.
Also, the RNC changed the rules at the convention to keep Ron Paul from speaking too.
Yeah, to keep Ron Paul from being able to. Yeah, because he would have gotten the nomination, he probably would have won the presidency.
Yes.
The thing is like it. One, I mean, a lot of that proves that, it's all rigged, and if you still believe in the political process, you're hopelessly naive. But two, it also demonstrates that, even in the LP, there are still people who still believe in freedom, and there are some people who now, after the big move that happened, where the von Mises Caucus made its huge bid for power, when that happened, there is a shift.
Took over all but like 3 or 4 states.
Yeah, I mean, that's
man. Oh God,
it's because everyone showed their true colors so much that people were finally like, holy shit, fuck these people, and moved them. But like, I would love to see, like, they're never going to allow the LP anywhere near an actual national debate stage, but I would love to see Spike be the nominee so that he can then get interviewed on like 60 Minutes, or he can get interviewed on national television and say things that are actually intelligent rather than who is Aleppo. I would love to see. Yeah, I would. No, he said who, not even what. He said who is Aleppo. This is like, that would be amazing. I would love to see that, because I don't think they're ever going to win an election, because there's no way the powers that be will ever actually let them win an election or anywhere near winning an election.
I think there's one federal level. No, there's no federal level.
There's no federal level.
And there's one state level in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And that was through the LP Frontier Project, which it's a pretty good program, but
but I mean, that's the thing is, like,
there's some LP locals, like even here in Wisconsin, there's some LP locals that I'm aware of.
A local, but not the state level.
No.
Yeah, no, there's nobody.
That's what we can do. That's what we do. We buy that bar, right? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. I'm 5, Sandy's 6, Lindsay's 7. We'll get a few other people there, and we'll get like 10 or 12 people living there with us, right? And that's a huge voting block. That's like 8% of that town so far. So it's got to be like 15 or 20% of the adult population of that town.
See, so at that point we can take over.
Sheriff Andrew.
Dude, you know how much fun I would have as a sheriff.
Sheriff Andrew needs to fill the paperwork, because we need
in Idaho.
We need some M240s for the elk.
I'd have M302s. We're getting we're getting my damn Bradley already.
We're getting a Swift boat for Elk Creek.
Yeah. I'm gonna need a couple of miniguns, a Black Hawk or 2. I mean, I can't fly.
There is a helicopter. There is a small airfield there, so we could get a helicopter.
Yeah, see? But not only that, but if I am a sheriff in Idaho, I'm Longmire all day. All right? Like, this is happening. I'm going to have a southern accent for no reason all of a sudden. And
you're going to wear spurs when you walk around town.
Yep.
Just for the
There's going to be spurs and
10-gallon hat.
In my service weapon is a Colt SAA. Why? Because look at that shit.
Chrome Colt SA.
Oh, no. You have the black.
It has to be chrome with the ivory handles.
No,
then he can only have one round.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm only allowed one bullet. The backup gun is a 357 in Chrome, but
cross draw.
Yeah, little shorty 3-inch barrel. Just because if I miss, at least I still set them on fire. And
his second backup gun is a snub nose 500 Smith.
Yosemite Sam Andrew, and he's got like 12 SWAT and completely blacked out behind him.
That's just
walking 300 blackout on 10.5s.
Are you kidding me? I'd just be walking around dressed like a fucking cowboy, just like, ma'am. And people will be like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone would be like, it's our sheriff. He's pretty awesome. It's
You can outdrink it too.
So sitting in the pub all day, like, yeah, protecting everybody. Man, it's the West, all right. How often in old westerns do you see the sheriff is actually at the bar when people go to look for him, sitting there?
That pub, that place did have a back room. We could set up a podcast studio.
See, well, I was saying the basement of it, you could totally put a stage and a stripper pole in. I'm just saying it's got enough room for it.
A stripper pole in the reddest county of the reddest state.
Leave it to the grunt to immediately jump to strippers.
I would be concerned about the pool there for strippers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very low population area, which means I need something to attract strippers to the area. Otherwise, where's my dating pool?
There is the Nez Perce
patrol car is a 1987 Camaro with a big old American flag Chevrolet symbol in the back window
with a snow plow on the front.
Oh no, dude! I'm taking the body of like an '87 IROC Z, and I am slapping it on a huge like monster truck chassis.
Put on an F250 chassis.
Oh, like no, we're talking like a fucking the international pickup truck, like the massive thing. Like that's my police car.
On the back window, can we put "It was just one time"?
It was one time.
I'm already thinking of memes to get you kicked out of office. I hate you.
It would be fucking glorious. All right, it'd be fucking glorious.
Let's get on this last one. It's Breitbart. Former CIA station chief. Intelligence agencies cannot be reformed unless POTUS can fire every federal employee.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely in the spirit of the Constitution and the balance of powers. That is absolutely just.
Former CIA officer and station chief Scott Uliger told Breitbart News on Thursday, that's September 15th, so this is 2 weeks ago, Thursday, that intelligence agencies cannot be cleansed of political and partisan corruption unless the president has the unitary power over the federal government's personnel decisions.
Partisan corruption.
Uliger discussed left-wing and partisan politicalization of federal intelligence agencies on Thursday edition of Sirius XM's Breitbart News Daily with special guest host and retired Navy SEAL and FBI agent Jonathan Gillum. Quote, it's a real cause for concern, not just among regular folks, but among people who served in these agencies, he stated. He emphasized the ubiquity of such political organization or such political orientations among intelligence agency employees. He remarked, quote, the infection in these organizations is not just political appointees. It's basically everyone from mid-grade level and up, if not lower, because they're all the recipients of a super liberal education. They just graduate from college with this really bizarre worldview for the most part. Unfortunately, I kind of agree with the idea of breaking them up because I don't really see how they can be reformed in any kind of meaningful way unless the president has the power to basically fire every federal employee at will.
Well, yeah, in order to get most of your federal jobs, you have to have a bachelor's degree, and the political left has so badly overrun every aspect of the so-called education system.
Yep. Gillum called for conservatives to enter institutions dominated by left-wing politics while accepting a long time horizon for reform. Quote, I think conservatives should flood all these agencies, and I think that they should do the same with politics. I don't care if they run as a Democrat or Republican. We should be getting conservatives in everywhere as much as possible. Republicans never played the long game. In 10 years, these people will start to make rank, and in 15 years, they'll be at the top. And then you can change the recruit divisions. It's not a short game. We're never going to get somebody that's a president that's going to depoliticize the FBI or the CIA.
Yeah, that's totally how that works. That's you get real deep in politics and you sit there in left politics for that long, and you're definitely still going to actually be secretly a conservative the whole time. That's definitely a thing.
Totally secretive. There's no way this guy has read Larkin Rose's The Iron Web at all. That's literally the entire point of Larkin Rose's book, The Iron Web. It's a guy that gets recruited into local politics, and he goes to the state level and becomes federal, and then eventually he becomes the president-elect, and on the first day as a president-elect, he assigns an executive order basically delegitimizing the U.S. government and breaking up the U.S. government and turning it into a federalization again, and then he resigns and walks away. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it won't.
This guy is smoking the same stuff as in Larkin Rose's book, The Iron Web.
Yeah, and that's the thing is and I've talked about it before on the show, but I know we have a lot of new viewers that probably haven't actually heard me say it, unless you've really tortured yourself and gone back and listened to the old episodes. And why would you ever do that?
In which case, I have a form. If you've done that, I have a form from the FBI I need you to sign.
Right. But at one point I was super involved in politics, right? Like I was really involved in Republican politics here locally and things. And one of my friends at the time was helping run Carly Fiorina's presidential campaign. And I had friends, who were in charge of the Republican Party here in the county and in the city and things, and quite a few of them. And they tapped me specifically because they wanted me to run for state senate. And the issue was that initially I was going to run for something local, and I met at nice.
Yep.
At Bill Feehan's house. And if you're in the La Crosse area, you know who Bill Feehan is. He's the top tier for the Republican Party in the western side of Wisconsin. At his house, and it was like a closed door secret meeting that secretly was discussing how Republicans needed to start doing all of this stuff at the local level. And even though it's not partisan, you're still secretly going to be partisan, and you're going to, do all this stuff. And then I got tapped because they decided they didn't want to run me for local. They wanted to run me, because of my background and stuff, they wanted to run me for state senate. They, and that was against Billings. They wanted me to run at that point. And when I espoused my, at the time, libertarian ideals, that I was a Republican, but, definitely libertarian leaning, I got told, well, you need to check your ideology at the door sometimes and immediately shut out of everything. Because, we don't want you to actually believe in things. We want you to do what we tell you to do. And that was part of what sent me down the road to becoming an anarchist, was that experience and realizing how underhanded and dirty it all really was. Oh, God.
Yeah, I have the game on the up here. It's ugly. It's horrible.
10-5? The fuck?
Jimmy G stepped out of the back of the end zone on a 2nd and 10 on a 7-step drop.
Yeah, it's bad. Sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to derail you. I just had to check the score and saw that.
That was what sent me down this road, was realizing how dirty and underhanded and everything else it is. And that, as I talked to people, I realized, because again, a lot of my friends were running presidential campaigns at the time. It was 2016. They're running presidential campaigns. I realized over the course of that, like pretty hardcore, that or the lead up to the 2016 election, I realized that you can't both have standards, have morals, have these things, and that you truly believe in, and get ahead in politics. It just doesn't work.
Anybody that wants to change the system will never advance in a system designed to keep people that want to change the system out of the system.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can go local, right? You can go local. You can change your town, right? You can change your city. You could probably change your county, if you can get enough people on board with you. But like once you get to the state level, unless it's a state like Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and in most cases, then you can start to change that. But you're not going to go beyond that. You're not. I mean, Ron Paul, God bless him, right? Broad has all the liberty and is the reason for this podcast and who we are in a lot of cases. He'd never stopped anything.
Yeah, he never changed anything.
He never changed anything. Nothing. No bills he wrote ever got passed, and no bills he opposed ever got stopped because of him.
Well, and it's all because the power.
The Fed was never audited.
Yeah.
The IRS was never audited. The Department of Education was never ended. The FBI, and all that stuff. Like, again, God bless Ron Paul. God bless Rand Paul. Thomas Massey. They're fantastic people, but they're not changing things.
Yeah, and they won't be able to because there's too many places across the country that'll never allow that kind of a person.
Yeah. You need to remember there's a book.
We talked about before that there were like $9 billion was being spent on this midterm election.
Yeah,
billion with a B. $9 billion being spent on this midterm election. That's not going to Ron Paul's. That's not going to Thomas Massey's.
No.
That's going to Schumer's. That's going to Pelosi's. That's going to Feinstein's. That's going to AOC's. That's going to people that are just going to continue the war drums and continue this country on the direction.
You can even say that's going to like the Romneys and that ilk too.
The Grahams,
even Rubio's.
The Rubio. Fuck that guy.
But they're all, doesn't matter, and we've said this time and again, doesn't matter what color your team jersey is. If you're on the national stage or even the state stage, you are nothing more than a willing pawn in a game that seeks to do nothing but make the average person cattle.
If you think voting helps, then vote. That's fine. I've no issue with that. I don't believe that voting will change anything at the national level. You can vote local. You can change something local. That's fine. Do it. If you can do it, do it. But I think a more efficient use of your time is to buy beans, bullets, and bacon, and Band-Aids, tourniquets, learn to shoot, start to garden, get a piece of land outside the city, find a mutual assistance group, find a nice trad girl and knock her up, and get away from the cities and get into areas where with less population. The less population there is, the less government there is.
Yeah,
go open a bar in Elk City, Idaho.
Yeah, there's a book out there, and I can't remember what it's called, but I remember at that meeting it got talked about. That's from the early 90s that is specifically about how the way that you can politically change the entire landscape of America is to start at the very, very bottom in the ultra local stuff and then move your way up from there. And it was talked about that.
Hans Hermann Hoppe has one about that. What must be done. Late Rothbard, like 90s Rothbard, he talked about that.
But yeah, I forget the name of the book. I can't remember. I remember it had a picture of the Capitol on the cover because that isolates political books. But but like it was talked about at that meeting repeatedly, and it was talked about that meeting repeatedly because it specifically was something that the American political left had really taken to heart and had used for years to make all of those changes. And the reality is, right, like, and that's why they were talking about, that's why we need to do this thing, is because we need to, you know, fight fire with fire, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that if you are going to want to change things to a libertarian ideal, or you know, abolish the government, get everybody to start being more free and everything else on a national level, you would need to do the same thing. You would need not just your local cities, but you need every city and, you know, within the county to start moving that way. And then you would need every county in the state, and then you would need every state in the country.
Yeah, that's HOP is what must be in. But you have to change the culture in order to change the politics. So like the first thing you have to take over is your school board. Absolutely, you have to take over your school board. You have to change what the kids are learning. You have to change the ideas that are put into their heads. And then from there you bring up an entire generation of people that understand liberty, that aren't completely brainwashed and indoctrinated with the liberal ideologies. And you, community garden, like Jack talks about. Our buddy Jack Curtis in the chat, he went to the local town and got permission for a community garden. Right, a huge community garden with he had people on board with it and everything. It was just completely fantastic the way he did it. But that's a culture change. That's that at that point in time, you start getting little kids involved, and you have kids from school come out and they get involved in the garden and they learn something. Right, they don't learn a dependence on government. They learn a self-reliance skill, and then from there you can piggyback it onto other things, and then you raise an entire generation of people that value liberty, that value individualism, that value self-reliance, and then that carries over because people are herd people, right? Humans are herd animals. We want to be around people, and if you don't fit in with the culture of an area, you become ostracized and you get pushed off somewhere else, or you get really, really lonely. So a lot of people will toe the line to go along with the dominant culture in an area in order to be part of the culture.
Yeah, you know, if you want to change stuff, you do that. You start volunteering at like Boys and Girls Club and talking to those kids. You start teaching things at various places. Volunteering in all these organizations, talking to people, spreading that message. There are so many people that I've talked to on a day-to-day basis where I mention like, oh, I'm actually an anarchist, and they're like, what the hell? What do you mean an anarchist? Like, you just want to kill? No, that isn't what anarchy means. And
I go through that all the time with one of my coworkers because he's dyed-in-the-wool, red as red can be Republican, and every time we start even considering talking about it, the first thing he says is, there's got to be some kind of order.
Well, yeah, spontaneous. That's what happens because
natural order is a beautiful thing.
Human beings don't like chaos. They don't like they will find order.
We can do a whole episode on natural order, but natural order is
I think we should.
There's a natural hierarchy, right? Like people talk about the hierarchy, the patriarchy, the matriarchy, whatever. There's a natural order. There are people in society that other people just gravitates towards, right? These used to be like the town elders, grandma and grandpa, right? The nice old lady on the corner. People naturally learn from these people. They naturally leaned on these people when they had questions, when they had concerns, and they were able to help guide a community. We don't do that anymore. Like we don't put good people in office. We put popular people in office.
Well, and the thing is too, like it, what I was saying is, if you don't start educating people, we will not do an episode on natural order unless Jason Shawls joins us. Jason Shawls has to be on that episode for natural order because he seconded it in the comments. That's it, man. And we're gonna razz you about the mark.
You took it great, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna make fun of you to no end because of your stupid fucking car.
And if you don't come on the show, you're small ball shells. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. See, it's been said now.
Yep. Oh, that's not the first time it's been said.
It's
permanent on the interwebs.
Hashtag that's what she said.
But I mean, the thing though is, I think the issue is that I think one of the problems is that within the liberty movement, within the anarchist community, I think so many of us are misanthropes that there's a real discouragement to go volunteer, to go be involved in your community and go do things in your community that then allow you to talk to people and network with people and introduce them to those ideas. And the reality is, if you don't do that, then you can't complain about what happens, because all the people who are doing it are spreading their ideas. That's what happens. You're the ones who are wanting to be insular, and you're not wanting to go out and talk to people and spread that word and discuss those things. You have to be involved. You have to be involved with kids, and you have to be involved with teaching them, the ideas of self-reliance, self-sufficiency, and independence. You have to do those things, and if you don't,
and I'll even go a little bit farther with that. Jason was talking about how we don't look up to and respect our elders and stuff anymore. We don't talk to our elders anymore. Look at what's considered the norm for what you do with your elders nowadays. You stick them in a prison known as a nursing home to live out the end of their lives in relative isolation. These places, you put these people in these nursing homes, and they end up basically ignored,
forgotten
for the remainder of their lives.
It's amazing what you can learn talking to old people. Also, Schaller, I will line up both the Dodge and my Marquis, because I have one that's literally the same color as yours.
You know what's a really good place for the elders to hang out and talk? A nice little bar with a wooden stove and elks. I know. Just saying.
And a stripper pole in the basement.
Stripper pole in the basement, and a local sheriff dressed like a cowboy with a weird, poor attempt at a John Wayne.
We could do the stripper pole in the basement and have a senior night, just like that one.
Oh God, no. No, no,
not the dancers, not the dancers.
Absolutely no.
Cam is a whore.
Man, I got tricked into seeing Showgirls under no circumstances.
Then Andrew's really going to be confused because he's immediately going to gravitate to the strippers and go, oh no.
Oh, just gam bouncing bony hams across.
Why are the titties
Hey man, all I'm seeing is they got dentures they can take out, and
when I heard the word booby tassels, I didn't mean the whole boobies.
Gosh, you guys are gonna get us canceled and kicked off of YouTube again.
It's but right. Well, and Jack agrees with me in the chat, so like he understands the same thing I'm saying, that you have to be involved in your community, you have to be involved in that and make those connections and talk to people and do those things. And it's the same thing as for sales and stuff, like because that's the job I'm in sales and everything, and I have to be involved in my community. I have to build that network and talk to people and make those friendships and get people to like me, and it's exactly the same thing.
Oh, fuck you, Shells.
But if you
his stream's ahead of mine apparently.
But if the big thing though is that if you want to change the culture, you have to connect with the people who are that culture. Plain and simple. If you're just staying home, you're not connected.
Politics with downstream culture?
Yeah.
Yep.
No. Yeah. Sorry, that kind of just interrupted your flow there. This entire episode, both of them, have been just complete clusterfucks. So
yeah, we should just upload them as two separate parts and just explain the first one ended with technical difficulties, and so you also get the second one. Enjoy, and people listen to two parts. It's fine.
This is bad. That damn buzz is back out there.
Yeah. So all right, let's throw out some plugs up. Or you can just go to our new link tree at linktr.ee/anarchy among friends to get all our links.
Yes. Should I do all the plugs? I'm gonna do all the plugs.
Fuck, you might as go.
Through things.
That's what we do. That's our how we ended
Come
things.
on, plug boy.
All right.
Start.
Buy Derica's book. It's Think for Yourself, a thinking workbook for beginners. It is a workbook. It is for beginners, but you know what? If you've never been taught how to think for yourself, how to use logic, things like that, you should definitely check it out. It's like $10. It's on Amazon. You can use the link in the description or on our link tree. Make sure that you check out thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15. You get 15% off of your entire order there. They have all sorts of fantastic products there for beard care and for the ladies, not for their beards. They just use the same stuff as meant for the beards, one would presume. But hey, I'm not here to judge. The important thing, though, is that they are fantastic scents. They got a beard straightener 2.0. It's got gold. It's got carbon fiber. It's super awesome. But if you use the code InkedAnarchist15, you get 15% off of that. I'm an affiliate of RK Spookware. If you know what they do, then you know why you need them. And use the link, the affiliate link that we have, and you help support the channel while simultaneously also getting the stuff that you're after. Anyway, I am also now super excited to announce that I have a partnership with Reaper Apparel. Reaper Apparel is super, super awesome. Their designs are really cool, and the message of the entire company is super fantastic. They have a 10-day challenge that you should definitely take. You should definitely get involved in it. They ask all of their representatives, including myself, to do. It's absolutely worth it. They have super cool stuff. I'll be sporting a hat as soon as they get it to me. But that is Reaper Apparel. You can use the link. You get 15% off if you use the link, or you can just use code InkedAnarchist at checkout. You get 10% off if you use the link. So check them out. Check out their Instagram. Absolutely awesome. The owner of the company is a super cool guy. He posts all sorts of videos all the time. Super, super awesome. I love him. Chris, I believe you have a thing to do.
If you love your coffee like I do, go ahead and check out the link for Jeremy at the Quartering's new coffee company. Coffee Brand Coffee. And he's got so many different blends. It's not just coffee anymore. He's got teas. He's got all kinds of other stuff, hot chocolate.
You can find the link on our link tree.
Yep. And by checking that out, you support me, you support the channel.
In the description of the other video, not this one.
And of course, make sure that you do check out Dave at Poppins Patches. He's a friend of the channel. He does all sorts of cool patches. He's always tapping into my nostalgia real hard with his designs lately.
Oh, those Ninja Turtle ones were fantastic.
They're just absolutely fantastic stuff, and super high quality PVC patches. The whites don't fade. It's awesome. We've all had that problem, right, with PVC patches where the white or the yellow likes to fade really bad. Yep. Doesn't happen with it. They're really high quality stuff. They're super awesome. Excellent designs. He's got the Boogaloo Shark, which glows in the dark. Boy, I wish I'd known that when I first bought it. That freaked the crap out of me the first time I saw it. I'm like, wow.
I have a snowflake one that glows, and it freaks me out every once in a while.
This one's another one that's I really enjoy.
Yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. You should definitely check him out. And if you use code, was it Abolish ATF, you get
Abolish ATF. Yes.
Yeah, you get 15% off. I think 15% off here. So
definitely.
Yes, awesome link tree. Do we have anything? I don't know if we have anything else.
RTA Magazine. Road to Autonomy. Also linked on Linktree. They have a new episode or new edition that just came out called Unfuck Yourself. And it is all about self-improvement, and it is a very, very good read. So go sign up for their e-zine.
And that ties in perfectly with Reaper brand, because Reaper totally does the same kind of stuff. Seriously, you should check them out. They have a Broken Not Defeated hoodie that is super awesome. Their hats are super awesome.
It is
more designs. Yes, more designs are coming as well. So keep an eye on them. We're going to be doing all sorts of cool stuff with them. I am so excited. Seriously, you guys too.
And one other thing,
talk to them about doing patches.
Yeah, we did here at the show sponsor the 10-year anniversary of one of the greatest small arms shops in I feel in the country.
Oh, VGS,
the Village Gunsmith in the small town of Kendall, Wisconsin.
Yes, they got some
free out on social media because
they got some free Poppins patches courtesy of Mr. Christopher.
Yep.
Yeah. So VGS, yeah, if you're in the Kendall area, you should check them out. They're super awesome. They're very knowledgeable staff.
Are you guys done? Can we leave now?
Sure.
Why do you want to go watch the last 2 minutes of the game that your team's losing?
That's what
I don't want to piss my pants.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess that's a
old man bladder.
Fine, I guess.
I hope the dog steps in your toe.
By the way, Jason, 142 to play. San Francisco just got the ball back. They're at their own 15.